There was a time in America when breakfast wasn't rushed, microwaved, or poured from a box. It was slow, homemade, and deeply connected to family, culture, and survival. Long before drive-thrus and cereal aisles, mornings began with dishes that today feel almost unreal. These breakfasts once filled kitchens with warmth and meaning, yet somehow vanished without anyone noticing. What you're about to hear is not just about food, but about forgotten mornings, lost traditions, and a side of America that no longer wakes up the same way. In the early days of America, breakfast had one job: fuel the body for long hours of hard work. Farmers, factory workers, miners, and homemakers needed strength, not convenience. So breakfasts were heavy, filling, and made from what was available locally. Many of these meals weren't written down in cookbooks. They were learned by watching parents, grandparents, and neighbors. And when lifestyles changed, these breakfasts quietly disappeared. One of the most common forgotten American breakfasts was a simple pan of leftover vegetables mixed with bread and fat. Nothing was thrown away. Last night's dinner became the next morning's strength. People believed wasting food was a moral failure, so breakfasts were often built from scraps. Today, this idea feels foreign in a world of abundance. Another lost breakfast was boiled grains cooked slowly overnight. Cornmeal, oats, or wheat were left near warm stoves so they'd be ready by morning. These meals were plain, sometimes flavorless, but deeply comforting. They warmed the body before sunrise and gave energy that lasted all day. As faster cooking methods appeared, patience disappeared, and so did these breakfasts. There was also a time when soup was a perfectly normal American breakfast. Not the kind served in restaurants today, but simple broths made from bones, vegetables, and water. Families believed starting the day with something warm kept illness away. Cold breakfasts were considered unhealthy. When refrigeration and cold cereals arrived, hot breakfasts slowly lost their place. Many forgotten breakfasts came from poverty, but they were eaten proudly. Fried dough made from leftover flour and water was common in poor households. It wasn't sweet or fancy, but it filled the stomach. Children grew up loving these meals because they meant safety and routine. In coastal areas, fish appeared on breakfast tables. Salted fish, dried fish, or fish mixed with potatoes was normal in many American homes. Today, the idea of fish for breakfast surprises people, but once it was a symbol of nourishment and connection to the land. Eggs, when available, were stretched carefully. Instead of omelets, eggs were mixed with bread, milk substitutes, or vegetables to feed many people with just 1 or 2 eggs. Modern breakfasts use eggs generously, but older generations treated them as precious. There were breakfasts built entirely around bread, but not the soft bread we know today. Dense, dark loaves were sliced thin and soaked in liquids to make them easier to eat. Bread was dipped in milk substitutes, broth, or even water. This practice helped elderly family members and children eat when food was scarce. Sweet breakfasts existed, but sugar was rare. Instead, people used natural sweetness from fruits, molasses, or vegetables. Baked apples, stewed fruit, and cornmeal dishes provided comfort without refined sugar. When processed sugar became cheap and common, these slow, natural breakfasts faded away. Some breakfasts existed only in certain regions and vanished as people moved to cities. Immigrant communities brought their morning foods with them, but assimilation slowly erased these traditions. Children wanted modern breakfasts, like their classmates, not old-fashioned meals their parents remembered. Breakfast was once a social event. Families sat together before the day began. As work schedules changed and schools started earlier, breakfast became something eaten alone or skipped entirely. The meals that required time and attention no longer fit modern life. Many forgotten breakfasts were built around seasonal eating. What grew locally appeared on the table. There was no expectation of variety year-round. This connection to seasons shaped American food identity, but industrial farming removed that limitation and changed tastes forever. Some breakfasts were designed to fight hunger rather than please the palate. Hot water mixed with flour, salt, or fat was served when nothing else was available. These meals sound extreme today, but they kept people alive during hard times. They were not meant to be remembered, yet they deserved to be. Children who grew up with these breakfasts often remembered them with mixed emotions. They weren't delicious, but they were comforting. They represented family, safety, and mornings that started together. As adults, many never cooked them again, letting the recipes die quietly. The rise of convenience foods changed everything. Boxed cereals, frozen items, and fast food promised speed and ease. Traditional breakfasts couldn't compete. What took an hour to prepare was replaced by something ready in seconds. Marketing also played a role. Companies told Americans what breakfast should look like. Slowly, homemade dishes were replaced by branded ideas of the perfect morning. The old breakfasts didn't fit the image anymore. What's fascinating is that many of these forgotten American breakfasts align perfectly with today's trends. Slow food, minimal ingredients, zero waste, and whole foods are now popular again. Yet the original versions remain mostly forgotten. These breakfasts weren't about indulgence. They were about survival, routine, and care. They taught patience, gratitude, and resourcefulness. Losing them means losing a piece of everyday history. Imagine waking up before sunrise, hearing a stove crackle, and smelling something simple cooking slowly. That was breakfast for millions of Americans. Not exciting, not glamorous, but deeply human. As you listen to these forgotten breakfasts, think about how quickly traditions disappear when lifestyles change. No one decided to stop making them. They just faded away, replaced by something faster.